Hey guys, it's Tim Miller with the Bulwark. I want to give you some quick reactions to Chris Christie officially dropping out of the race, just jumped off TV to come here to be with you all. Look, here's the thing. I want to start with a brief mea culpa. If you've been following this YouTube feed, if you've been following the Bulwark podcast, you know that I've been deeply skeptical of Chris Christie's motivations. And I was worried that this guy was going to continue to campaign and actually just hamper any candidate in a primary that actually had a chance to beat Donald Trump. He kind of did that in 2016, where he never went at Donald Trump. He went at Marco Rubio instead, hampering Marco Rubio's shot. I was worried he was going to do the same thing this time. And I was wrong. He put his money where his mouth was. He lived up to his promises on the fact that he did not want to do anything that might help Donald Trump. And so Chris Christie is now getting out of the race because he doesn't see a path to victory. And we are, 13 days away from the New Hampshire primary, which guarantees that there are no Chris Christie supporters who have absentee ballots or whatever who go who won't be around on election day, who might cast a wasted ballot for him. Lets everybody know that if they can't vote for Nikki Haley, then they can sit home or they can go over the Democratic primary, which is kind of pointless, and write in Joe Biden. It I think is a more honest way to deal with the voters, and it's the more honest way to deal with his campaign, given that he had promised that he didn't want to do anything that might help Donald Trump. So kudos to Chris Christie on that. Also, kudos to Chris Christie for a couple other things in the speech. And then I have a few concerns. But here are the kudos first. One, this line: anyone who is unwilling to say Trump is unfit is themselves unfit. That is a very clear and concise statement that I agree with 100%. We all saw what Donald Trump did on January 6th. We all saw what he did his whole presidency. If you believe this man is fit for office, then you yourself are unfit for office. And so that has serious implications. That means that Nikki Haley, in his mind, Ron DeSantis, are unfit for office. It means he's probably not going to be endorsing either of them. So while Chris Christie's exit will certainly help Haley in New Hampshire on the margins, because some percentage of his voters are not going to heed that sentence and are going to go out there and vote for the person they think is best qualified, I think that maybe some of his voters will listen to him and won't support any candidates in the Republican primary. But I think that there's some real implications about that sentence as well, about what Chris Christie himself is going to do in the general election. I want to talk about my other favorite line from his speech. He called out the Republicans that knew better by name. A lot of times, there are people, there are pundits, not me, not us at the Bulwark, but a lot of these other pundits who just generically say, oh, some Republicans know better. But then they don't ever actually call anybody out. And Chris Christie called them out by name. John Barrasso, senator from Wyoming. Tom Emmer, congressman from Minnesota. They endorsed Donald Trump recently. Chris Christie upbraided them for how gross it is for them to endorse someone for president that they know damn well is unfit. He also called out Elise Stefanik for her comments about how January 6 criminals are quote unquote hostages, similar to, comparing them to the real hostages in Gaza that were taken by Hamas. So I thought that Christie going at Stefanik, Barrasso, and Emmer was really strong and I think meaningful to have somebody that has relationships with them that is still in the party calling them out by name. So I thought those for me were two highlights of the speech. Now, what are the implications of the speech? I think that is really, the question that I'm here to answer. Number one, the Republican primary implications. Nikki Haley, I think, now has a realistic shot to win New Hampshire if and only if Ron DeSantis stays in the race. If Ron DeSantis leaves the race and she ends up in a two-person field, I think it's become very hard for her. But if DeSantis and Vivek stay in the race and she has a four-person field in New Hampshire, I think she'll have a realistic shot at winning it. What happens from there, I don't know. But I guess it's not nothing for the possibility now that Donald Trump might not sweep the primary, which is what I had expected. The more important implication: can and will Chris Christie be a useful surrogate and messenger for Joe Biden? Obviously, the most helpful thing he could do would be to endorse Joe Biden and go campaign for him explicitly. The next most helpful thing he could do is to be not kind of a both sides, I don't like both of these old guys kind of commentator, but to be relentless and campaign against Trump and have media appearances where he attacks Trump and criticizes Trump and holds people accountable who say that they're going to support Trump. Because Chris Christie has influence, maybe not among very many Republican primary voters, but among the swing voters that are so key to Joe Biden if he is going to win in November. The people that were Mitt Romney voters, maybe Donald Trump 2016 voters, but are college educated, don't like Donald Trump, didn't like January 6th, but maybe after a long campaign, they kind of just go back to their political priors. Chris Christie has to be the one guy that is shaking those people every day, saying, don't you do it. This man is unfit. You cannot vote for him. Even if he doesn't endorse Biden, if he's out there delivering that message, particularly through advertising, that could be a useful service for Chris Christie as well. So Chris Christie is out of the race. I know there are some Chris Christie fans of the Bulwark. There's some people that got mad at me for being mean to Chris Christie when he's been the one person saying the truth about Donald Trump in this primary. So I will say one thing that I can now admit. It was better than not that he was in the race. He did not deliver the knockout punch of our dreams, but it was good to have someone clear-eyed about Donald Trump's flaws and weaknesses and the threats that he poses to our democracy. And so we will give you a fond farewell, maybe a one clap, maybe not 3 cheers for Chris Christie, but 1 cheer for Chris Christie for doing that on the moment of his exit from the race. Charlie will be back here tomorrow, Thursday. I'm sure he'll have much more on the Bulwark podcast discussing Chris Christie leaving the race and the implications of it. So come back for that, and we'll be seeing you all soon. Peace. Hey, if you like this video and our content, I'd love for you to become a Bulwark Plus member. You get bonus podcasts, you get bonus newsletters, you get bonus takes from me that maybe don't come up on the YouTube feed. You can try it out for free at thebulwark.com/free trial. The link is below in the description. We'd love to have you as a member of our community. We have great commenters and great opportunities for people who want to protect democracy.